Hey guys, how's it going and welcome back? Well, it looks like Apple is finally going to bite it and they are going to come out with a touch bar Mac. But it's going to be laptops, at least to start with, right? Because I mean, you can't really do it to any of the desktops except for the iMac. But according to the internet, when I did my little search, it came up with like all the more popular joints that we know of: Macworld, The Verge, CNBC, Mac Rumors, Digital Trends, all these places. And they're like, wow, Apple's actually going to come out with something. And from the looks of the release time period, we're looking at 2025. Hilarious thing happened, though, when I went and did my search. I put in my search window in Google, will Apple make a touchscreen laptop? And of course, right at the very top, shop, will Apple make a touchscreen laptop, on their ads. And what pops up? Staples, Amazon, Walmart, and a place called Poshmark. But Poshmark didn't do this. But the other three says Apple touchscreen MacBook Pro with Apple M1 chip. Amazon.ca, touchscreen 2020 MacBook Pro with M1 chip. Touchscreen MacBook Pro 13-inch with touchscreen. And it's like, huh? And then you click on the link, and of course, that touchscreen information on the website just all of a sudden doesn't exist. That I thought was hilarious. But anyway, so the first write-up comes from looks like Engadget? No, somebody before that. I don't know. They kind of got the writing backwards or something. But it says, after years of resistance, the first touchscreen Mac could launch in 2025. Apple is reportedly working on touchscreen MacBooks. Although the plans aren't finalized, Bloomberg's sources say that touch-friendly Apple laptops could arrive in 2025. I would have added on to that, and Mac users are going to regret they're begging for this. Okay? Let me explain something. Apple did a lot of their own work a few years back, probably even several years back, when touchscreens even first hit the PC market. There were Apple people that wanted that sort of thing too, right? And it's like, and I still don't get why, all right? I just really don't understand why, because I agree with Apple and what they said, and that's that, when you're going up to the screen, you're extending your arm out, and I'm sitting at a normal distance from my desk, and I still can't reach my freaking screen. I'm about 2 inches short, so now I got to scoot my butt pretty much right up in order to be able to actually do anything here. And one of the big problems with this is fingerprints everywhere, okay? Now, keep in mind, too, that the technology is probably still not the most accurate and proper sensitivity levels what it should be to work precisely perfect, okay, without giving you some headaches. But it's probably good enough. I have never tried a touchscreen machine yet. Every PC I've bought, even in the last, 20 odd years, every PC I've owned, because I've owned a lot of them, and of course Macs too, I've never had one that ever came with the feature. So I technically don't have the experience of killing my arm and going to the ER like most people. But, I'm sitting here just in the practical sense, even like this is fatiguing, and this is on a desktop, right? And most of us with desktops have at least a 27-inch screen or larger. Especially nowadays, it's usually like much larger than 27, right? And we're running high resolution. And the thing is the higher the resolution you run, the smaller things get, but the more screen real estate you have for everything, right? And this is where there's going to be a bit of a problem too. And Apple's going to have to compensate for some of this to a certain point, but not really, because the screen resolutions from default are fixed at whatever. But you can scale your resolutions to make things much bigger, okay? But then you lose a lot of screen real estate, but at least now you've got a bigger thing to touch your finger on. You might actually push two things at once and not realize it when you're talking laptops and high screen resolution. See, the thing with even PC laptops, the resolution thing works really weird, okay? I've got my HP 14-inch laptop, and it's a 1080p screen, just like my gamer system is with a 17-inch screen. It's 1080p fixed resolution, but I can scale it to whatever, right? Now, I'm at 100% by default on my gamer laptop, right? And this is the magnification part, right? So how things go woof or not. The 14-inch Windows 11 says, oh, you need 150% resolution. You're going to go blind. You won't be able to see anything because the writing will be so small. It'd be like having a 4K kind of layout, but on a 14-inch running 1080p. So they set the magnification to 150%, so things are bigger. And if it was a touchscreen, I'd actually be able to probably push on something without double clicking something, right? Well, the problem I ran into this was actually a couple of days ago. I'm sitting there and I'm trying to edit one of my YouTube video thumbnails on this little laptop, and that last window that shows up so you can complete it? Well, the enter button is not there. And I'm like, I got this big, huge dialog box and everything's like up and out of the ozone, right? I'm like, this could be a problem. So I had to go into Windows and go into my little display setting thing and change my magnification to 100%. And all of a sudden things go boing and shrink down to micro size. And I'm like, okay, I think I can read that now, sort of. Anyways, my button comes back, I can finish my editing. Otherwise, I was kind of yanked, right? And so can you imagine doing this at a normal 2K resolution? Okay, now it wouldn't disappear the box on a Mac like it does on the PC, but either way, I find that it's an impractical thing to do, even on a laptop, because laptops, the text is very small, even at given resolutions, right? And especially when you're running with defaults, because, who wants to have 640 by 480 as a resolution anymore? Like, seriously, you know what I mean? Just so you can go bing. But I think that the fatigue issue won't be so bad on a laptop because you're kind of down more. So instead of being up here and going, you're much closer to your laptop. You can go ding, 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 ding. The problem here lies in this. You're going to have fingerprints everywhere, right? And the smaller the screen, the more fingerprints you're going to get like instantaneously. So people who actually end up using this feature are going to get pissed because they're going to end up spending oodles of cash on cleaning fluid all the time to continually clean their freaking screen every 10 minutes if they're using this feature a lot, okay? Maybe once in an hour. Point is, you're going to be cleaning your screens a lot. And you know what happens when chemicals meet protective shielding on screens? Over time, and in this case, it won't take a lot, okay? It's going to destroy that protective filament on your screen, and your screen going to look ugly, okay? And then you're going to whine about that, and it won't be Apple's fault, okay? It's going to be your fault, but you'll still complain to Apple. This thing should not have done this. I got discoloration. I got this and that. Oh, yeah, so you're using the touchscreen feature in the new laptop that we made. Yeah, okay, I get it. Yeah, sure. Not covered under warranty. Sorry. There is definitely going to have to be some kind of a disclaimer that Apple does, where Apple's going to find themselves in a lot of problems if they don't. Because I will say this: if I was part of a PC company or Apple, or whether I was the head honcho or somebody in charge of somewhere, I would be saying, look, to the management, we are not willing to say that this should be warranted if people go boom, boom, boom and break their screen. We know what it takes to do that, because I'm sure they'll do enough thorough testing to find out what kind of damage is going to result in people using touchscreen. Because one of the big problems we have with people is some people tend to be very heavy typers, right? Now, I'm not. I'm a light typer, right? Kind of like my guitar playing. I fret my notes lightly, because otherwise my frets are going to wear it too fast. Keyboards are the same thing. If you're a heavy typer, you're going to go through a lot of keyboards, okay? So, and your typing is going to be taken into the same approach with the touchscreen. You're not going to be that gentle. You're going to be putting a lot of pressure because you're not going to realize things. Now, one of the other problems that we're going to run into too, that people will probably whine about, okay, because Apple probably didn't think of this part, is the hinge pressure tension, okay? Now, we already know that MacBook Airs never have had a lot of tension on those springs or on the hinges, period. So it's very easy to open and close lids, okay? The Pro has a little bit more tension than what the Air does because it's a little bit heavier, right? So, and a little bit more stronger screen too, which makes it more practical to actually start with the MacBook Pro and forget the Air. But either way, they say Pro is going to be the one having it with the touch bar, so that's probably a good choice actually for Apple, because the Air, it would be like you'd go bang once on it and be like, you know what I mean? You're like, lift up, lift up. You're going to have a very similar experience. Probably about every third or fourth touch, you're going to have to readjust your screen. People are going to crap about this, saying, Apple, you need to stiffen up the springs and hinges because this is ridiculous. You gave us a touchscreen. Yes, we gave you what a lot of people wanted, and you decided to give it a go, right? Now, the thing is they're not going to have select MacBook Pros with touch. I'm sure it's going to be the entire lineup for that release, that every single one is going to have that feature. Now, you don't have to use the feature, right? It's there if you want to use it. Now, whether it's going to be a feature that you can turn on and off on a whim, we don't know, right? Because we don't know everything that's going on yet. We just know that Apple's finally giving in to a lot of people, which I think is going to bite them in the butt in the long haul, okay? This is not an area that Apple should be dabbling in, when before they said, this is why we won't do it and don't do it. And when you see that over the years, a lot of PC manufacturers that were doing it quit doing it, but there are still those who do, it kind of starts to make some sense. I wonder how many people tried to claim a warranty. I'm wondering, was that technology, is that technology a real practical thing to do on desktops or even laptops, realistically? I think that it's not practical. I think that it's going to cause even fatigue on a laptop doing this for those who are going to want this feature and go, oh, I so really like this, and I tried it on a PC, I loved it, but I'm not a PC person, I'm a Mac person, but I want it on here. And, so I don't know how many people on the entire world market share of Apple fanatics actually have been begging for this feature, but I have a really good feeling that once it's given and they use it, they're going to stop using it, or they're going to complain about this went wrong, that went wrong. Because there is nothing Apple can do to avoid fingerprints going on your screen, okay? And some people have a higher acid level in their body than others, so we run into this with guitar players. One of my buddies who's a technician, for a lot of years, because he's kind of retired now, but for a lot of years he had this one guy that literally every second day he had to change the strings on the guy's guitar. They were rotted off, basically, because of such a high acidic level. I've heard a few YouTube channel guitar players talk about this same problem too, and that changing strings, it depends on the acid level in your skin when, how often you're going to have to change them. Like, the higher the acid content, the sooner you're changing your strings, because they just rot. Like, they rust right up. Even coated strings are really not helping these people that have high acid level, because they're basically almost burning off the coating and right down to the metal again, right? And so you're going to have the same thing with touchscreen technology. Is acid in your body is going to react to the screen's protective coatings, because screens all have a protective coating layer, right? And it's going to destroy that layer if you have a high acid content. And if you're one of these people who really wants the touch screen and you start doing that, don't even think about a warranty, because there's going to have to be a disclaimer saying no, okay? And hopefully Apple can think about this ahead of time, that there are people with high acid content that are probably the ones that are also asking for this, and they don't seem to have a problem with their keyboards, because that's, keyboards, and they just wear out keyboards and they accept that. but they are not thinking about the screen contact points and what's going to happen. And this is another thing that needs to be addressed. So I would say, you know, if you are using your screen and this type of damage does result, do not call us begging for a warranty, okay? If you are a super heavy typer and you bang the crap out of your screen, do not call us if you break your screen, because that's on you, okay? They have to get a disclaimer or they're going to hemorrhage really bad on this. I mean, I think outside the box, okay? And this is the sort of stuff I would put in, you know, on certain products, because that's just, you know, what's going to happen, right? So anyways, but I do think in total that it's a kind of a neat thing where, yeah, Apple's finally giving in, because people aren't going to stop whining until they do. And I guess there's enough people out there that think that they want this feature that Apple's kind of willing to play ball a little bit, but you're going to be forced to buy a certain model of laptop, because they're not going to do the whole friggin' lineup just to make, you know, everybody out there have that option. Not right away. This is going to be kind of like the proving ground, and I think it's a good place to start, at least with the Pro, because its hinges and springs are much stiffer than what the MacBook Air would be. So I think that was a good idea, at least for that. And it's still an inexpensive laptop compared to the 14 and 16-inch Pro models. So I think Apple is smart because they're going to give in from the sounds of things. I think it was smart for them to do that. Now, they still may change their mind between now and 2025, and they may just say, you know what, screw it, let's just do it all so we don't have to listen to anybody whine at all. Because there may be some people out there that prefer the Air, for example, because it is their hottest selling laptop of all time. Let's face it, they sell more MacBook Airs than any other MacBook in their fleet. So, you know, I'm kind of surprised I didn't read anything about the Air. I read it about the Pro. The Air isn't mentioned that I've seen so far. I haven't gone through all the links, but you know, everything that I have seen has pointed towards the Pro with Touch Bar. And I think that's actually a good starting point, because it is a thicker screen. It's a little bit more robust on the twist, you know, type of thing. It's not going to be so flexible, and it does have those much stiffer springs and hinges for the lid or the screen than what the Air does. So anyway, should be interesting. Let me know what you think in the comments below, especially if you are a Mac person. Are you looking forward to actually finally having the ability to touch? And what do you think in total about this whole deal? And based upon what I said with my ideas. Anyways, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll catch you on the next one. See ya.